Let's create a file upload activity that will be available on 5th May from 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. Students won't be able to access the assignment before and after the exam. They can only access it during the exam timings. You can make the exam available for a specific group only if you want. Defer group, for example. So what we do first is turn editing on in your module, and we have recommended activities on the extreme right tab. Select the assignment activity, not the Turnitin activity, the assignment in blue. Click on the assignment activity and give a title for the exam. You can also give a description which tells the student about the steps to be taken during the exam, like some kind of exam regulations if required. Don't forget to click on the display description on course page if you put a description. Next is adding the exam file, basically the question paper. So click and upload the file from the location. So I have one on the desktop. I'm opening it. I'm uploading the file. Now you can see the file is uploaded. Now I need to have the dates in. So we decided 5th of May starts at 9. And the due date is 5th of May, the same date, in 2 hours. So that's 11 o'clock. And now we need to give a cutoff date. So we need to know what the cutoff date means. The allow submission from is basically when the submission opens for students. The due date is when the submission is closed for students, but please remember that students will still be able to upload submissions after the due date unless you give a cutoff date. The cutoff date is when all submissions are totally stopped for students. So normally we give the due date and the cutoff date as the same date and time because you want the students to stop submitting after the exam is over. But in some scenarios you want to give a 30-minute extension, so you can just extend the cutoff date. In this case, all submissions will be marked as a late entry after the due date all the way till the cutoff date. So the cutoff date is very important, and please take a note of it. The other thing is the Turnitin plagiarism plugin settings. You can either enable Turnitin or you can disable that. It's totally up to you. We leave all the other settings as it is. Once you enable Turnitin, you can even upload a rubric to it. Next is the restrict access, basically where we put the restrictions for the activity. We select a date restriction so that we are able to give the activity a restriction. In my case, I'm going to give it a restriction which says that the activity is going to be available from 5th of May from 9 o'clock all the way till 11 o'clock, and it's going to be deactivated before that particular time and after the exam is ended. So no one can access it before the exam starts and after the exam ends. So there is until in the second line. That's very important. You save and return to the course and you will be able to see that the restrictions are set, and you can just read it for quality assurance sake and ensure that everything there is right. Now let's just check this from a student view. So I'll just change the screen to a student view and just check the student view so that you see what a student sees. So that's how it sees. It's grayed out, not clickable, which means they won't be able to click and see the exam paper. You can see the other links are clickable, but this is not, and the restrictions are all set. Now we are going to see how we can add a group to this particular restriction. So you go back to that activity, go to the settings of the activity. You don't have to change anything, you just have to go to restrict settings. So we go all the way down to restrict access, and you add another restriction which is for the group. Now this is where you can add defer students to a exam. So basically you select a group, so everything stays as it is. Now only the A1 group can access this exam, between 9 and 11 a.m. on the 5th of May. Let's see a student view of that, and you can see that the restrictions are all laid out clearly for the students to read. You can see the question paper is inside. By the way, this won't be available for the students. Right now we are in the admin view. The lecturers can see it at this point of time. The students will not be able to click it, so obviously they won't be able to see the question paper. This tutorial pretty much summarizes creating a file upload assignment based on groups and restrictions. This should apply to almost every different kinds of assessments that you have where you have restrictions on them. Please note that groups are created by the e-learning and innovation team, so you'll be sending the student list and you let us know which group they belong to and we create them for you. And the restrictions and the examinations will be designed by the lecturers, and it will be sent back to the e-learning and innovation team for a review, so that we assure that you have done everything right. And we strongly recommend that if you're having any kind of final exam, you do a mock exam so that the students are aware of the type of assessment they'll be getting, and everything should go well, hopefully, and you should be good to go for the final exam. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.